Hello, everyone. Cindy Drozda here. And this is a great day for a live stream. I just love it. A lot of my friends are here. David from Finally Sunny, Oregon. And we have in-house the ultimate tech support. Alan Z is on the stream. So yes, all my electronics are listening and they better behave themselves. And Todd is here. Good to see you. And we've got quite the international crowd today. David from the UK and foreign countries like, well, Texas used to be a country of its own. And yes, I love Lubbock, Texas. Beautiful place to be. Well, nice weather and great flying. And Oregon, yes, is finally sunny. So yeah, welcome everyone. It's great to have you all here. Canada and California. Good to see y'all. And I want to hear your questions today. I do have kind of an agenda planned, but and here's my friend Roy from Texas. Oh, lots of Texans on today. Canada's a great place to be in the summer. I love it. And my video and audio may be slightly out of sync. StreamYard is not perfect. The only thing I can do about it is try turning stuff on and off, but we're going to go with it. You won't see my lips move all the time, and so everything will be okay. Yeah, and some people are greeting each other. This is cool. I love it. So yeah, thanks for showing up, and please type your questions for me in the chat, woodturning related, hopefully. I'm going to start off with a little bit of the usual introduction and woodturning calendar of events. Here's where I am, and you can see that spring is coming and things are greening up. Our official last frost date is don't I have me here? Oh, sorry about this, guys. Don't I have me here? Nope, I don't have me here. Okay, I guess I turned off some stuff. No problem. You can see plenty of me the rest of the time. There's where we want to be. There's where we want to be. We could do that. Okay, here I am. Our last frost date is May 15th, so we've got another 2 and some weeks before it won't freeze at night, but the grass is growing and the lilacs are budding, and it's a great time to be in Colorado. I do these live streams every 2 weeks. So you see me today and you'll see me in 2 weeks from today. If you want to get a direct link to this stream, go to my website, and I'm going to put this up here. If you go to my website and click subscribe, or you can also go to, if I can find it, where, we have way too much tech around here. Click the QR code. If you've got your phone near you, but you're looking at this on a computer, you can get to subscribe on my website by the QR code, or you can go to my website and click the subscribe button, and I'll send you out an email a day or two before with the live link to these sessions. So my next one, it says April 13th because some bonehead like me forgot to update the slide. It really is 2 weeks from today, which I believe is May something. But yeah, just look on the calendar and count ahead 2 weeks, and that'll be me. And Lyle Jameson on May 3rd, my good friend Lyle, let's get this out of his face there, is going to be doing a wood turning demonstration. I'll get rid of that covering things up, on preventing catches. And notice that beautiful piece in the picture. That was his John Jordan tribute piece. Lyle is really good at the mechanics of hollowing and turning and cutting and why things work and why they don't. So this will be great. And the big news, Lyle is now recording his IRDs. So you'll get a recording. That's fabulous news. All of us who've loved watching Lyle but wish we had a recording, now you got one. And my friend Todd, who is here in the audience, does live streams every other Friday on the intervening weeks to mine. So you can see me this week and you see Todd next week, and he's at 2:30 Central and I am at 2 o'clock Eastern. So you got time zones to deal with as always. I always put them in UTC for people to get it no matter what time zone you're in. And so, yeah, join me and Todd once a week for some little fun thing like this. And 2 days after Todd's live stream, or is it 3 days or something like that? Next week's a busy one for the three of us. I'm doing an IRD. That means interactive remote demonstration online woodturning class on a natural edge winged bowl with a gilded rim. Big part of this is going to be gilding the rim with gold leaf. And this is not the shape I'm going to do. It'll look a little bit more like this, only without a lid, or, well, I'll talk about making a lid. And here's another one. It's not wood, but gilded rim. So neat stuff, the gilded rim. And yes, our friend Todd is doing an IRD on May 20th, which is about 2.5 weeks from today or something. 2.5 weeks. May 20th, whenever that is. We don't know what time it is. We don't know what he's doing. We just know that we're going to love to see him because he always does a great show. It'll be great. Let's see if we got any comments here. I was kind of not paying attention. Oh, yes. Oh, and Tim Tucker, the voice. He's the voice. Good to see you here, Tim. And Paul and Duncan from the UK, I believe, someplace. Oh, Spain. Okay, well, that's really good international. And as Alan is pointing out, I should mention my website. And I did have at one point a little bug there, or a little ticker there for my website. And yeah, I can't really post links in the chat too easily. So don't worry, you'll hear from me. But if you can spell my name or even get close, you'll find me online. Oh, Joaquin, always great to see you. Yeah, good to have all my friends here. This is fun. And we're going to have some serious fun today. But I got one more thing to mention, and that is the AAW Woodturning Symposium in Louisville, Kentucky. And I'll be in the trade show, booth number 125. So come by and visit. I won't be demoing, so I'll just be available in the trade show the whole time and in the bars and restaurants afterwards. So yeah, I hope you can be there in person and have some fun. But another part of this year's AAW is they're going to be streaming from one or two of the rooms. So there's going to be an online component to this year's AAW. Stay tuned for details. It'll be great. All righty then. So let's get on with what's happening today. And I put in the description that I was going to do a live discovery of the Copic Markers, which are a way to, they have an airbrush attachment. It's a way to spray some dye stain onto a piece of wood, which is something I like to do on my pieces without having to learn how to use or clean an airbrush. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll just unbox everything and I'll show you all how it goes. Well, that went wrong first because I needed a little preparation to figure out how to hook the thing up. But then my friend Lauren Zenreich, and here is Lauren, she came on and said, well, why doesn't she come to the stream and teach me? So hello, Lauren. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Lauren Zenreich. I've been embellishing with archival inks for a long time. And one of the things I like to do is this airbrush, which is, I love it because there's no cleanup And when you change colors, it's changing pens. And it's just a fun, inexpensive way to do airbrushing. So when Cindy said she was going to do some airbrushing, I said, yay, I'd like to watch. And she said, no, you need to do more. So I'm here just to sort of show you how to play. It's all playing. You'll have a great time. So go ahead, Cindy. What are you doing?
Okay, what am I doing? That's the eternal question always. So you can contact Lauren at info@zenreich.com, and she and her husband Alan do interactive remote demos, and you're going to see some of what Lauren's setup looks like here today. But first, I want to tell you how things went for me with this Copic marker airbrush kit. I got all the parts, and then I thought, well, I better just make sure I'm not going to be stuck here trying to do a live unboxing on the live stream. Well, it's a good thing because let's see what we got here. I found out that it needs somewhat of a setup to hook it up to a compressor. Now, there are two ways to power this airbrush, and I chose the perhaps more sustainable, but way more complicated to set up and use system, which is I'm using my own compressor. And this is the little airbrush thing. I have a can where the hose attaches to the bottom of it, and it works like a spray gun here. You put those markers in it, and you can kind of spray. Here's a marker. Here you can spray using the ink that's in these markers. And what I had to do to use my air compressor was I had to find a regulator because, and that's this here, it does not want to operate on air compressor line pressure like 90 psi like I have in my shop.
No, so you'll blow it out.
Yeah, you'll probably ruin the unit. Do that. Yeah. And Lauren's going to show us the easy way, but I just wanted to tell you about the hard way first. And I also want to tell you about something I learned here that's very interesting. If you look in the manual for this thing, you see that it says minimum air pressure of 0.3 megapascals and a max of 0.5 megapascal. So what's a megapascal? Google informed me that 1 megapascal is 145 psi, 1/10 of a bar, or 10.2 kilograms per square centimeter. Those are all I could find out for air pressure measurements throughout the world. So I'm a PSI kind of a person, and that's what this gauge I have. It measures in PSI. So in my case, that means that I have 43 to 72 PSI range. If you go below, it doesn't spray too well. If you go above, like Lauren said, you'll ruin the unit. So now let's let Lauren talk about things here because she's got a better way.
Well, I've got a little air compressor too. It's an Iwata. And we usually set it according to the instructions in the box. It was 20 to 50 psi that you should do. So we're set at around 35. So that's the way I usually work it. And although you can use the cans of air that you can purchase, and the little can that Cindy was talking about is actually an adapter for the air compressor. So let me get myself set up to show you. I got to go back to vMix. Let's see. Let's go to 1. Okay. This is just a little thing I was playing with yesterday. For the air compressor, for the airbrush. Okay, and Copic, let's see if you can see these. These are all the Copic colors that I tend to play with. They're all alcohol-based pigment pens. So they're also blendable. So if you don't have, say, a green pen that you want to use, you can actually spray blue and yellow and you'll get green. So if you go over here, that, I don't know if you can see that well enough.
Excuse me for a second, Lauren.
Yep. Go ahead.
Anybody with a question for Lauren, type them in the chat and we'll put them up on the screen and let Lauren answer them for you. So yeah.
Yeah.
Type your questions in there.
Please do. Let me just
see.
go
Dave
to.
Gail bought one after one of her demos, and yes, now we're going to see it again.
Aha. Okay. Let me just see if I can find. Oops. Oh no. It just reset me. Where are we?
You look like you're live. I can see your mouse moving.
I'm live, but I think I just lost one of my my windows here, and I don't know why. Nope, totally lost one of my windows. Okay, now I can't show anything for. All right, I'm gonna have to show you this way, and let me turn this on.
And
Alan's coming
Tim's
to
got
help
a
me
question
out.
here. Tim's got a question for you, Lauren, about recharging
I want to get
the
my
markers.
list, and my list is missing.
And
okay.
Okay, so
where's my list?
I looked it up online, and yes, you can not only refill all of the colors, but they make one that it's the one that I have here.
Yeah, let's see if we can get here.
It's empty.
Markers, yeah.
And you can put whatever you want in there.
You got it? Yeah, okay.
Lauren here.
Okay, let me go to 5.
And you guys, we can hear everything you say unless you mute yourself. So think about that. There you are, Lauren.
Okay, so do you want me to answer the other question first, or do we want to just talk about the markers?
Oh, you've got questions. Let's answer the questions. Here's one. Can you see them?
Not yet. I got to get back.
You have to clean the gun between colors. I will tell you.
No, you don't.
Yes.
But
yay,
if you if you want to clean it up, I mean, it may get a little messy from the alcohol inks. You just clean it up with alcohol. It just wipes right off. The other thing is, if you have to see how it's going to spray. It may overspray. Sometimes your fingers get caught and dirty, you know, so you don't want to walk around with like brown fingers or whatever. Yeah, just use alcohol and it cleans right up. I did that yesterday.
Do you wear gloves?
You could wear gloves. Not a bad idea, but I tend to like to feel what I'm doing, so I'm.
And here's a really good question about these pens. You can use them as a regular dye pen, or you can use them in the unit as an airbrush, right?
Right. So these two, they make a lot of different kinds of pens too. These are the pigment pens. They also make dye-based pens, but those don't fit in here. So it depends on which ones you get.
So these are pigment?
These are pigment.
I thought they were dye. Okay, well, we're going to see how they look over wood here a little bit later on.
The sketch might be dye. You may be right. It may be dye, and the other ones are pigment. Okay, absolutely right. I think these are dye-based. Let's see. You don't have to clean the gun. Is the airbrush a dual action? No. The airbrush is a single action. And I will switch back to. Yeah,
and Alan says they're dye. I think he looked it up.
They're dye. Yeah.
He's also asking us to just show people how it's used. All right, so get on with it, he says.
Well, I was answering questions first. So stop it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the whole idea, and yes, somebody was talking about how to refill. There are all these cartridges that you refill them with, and you just drip the dye into the marker. So let's see. I need to get closer. I know we're on focus and add up Come on. No. Ah,
I think if you just move your hand further away from you, it would be
I'm
good
going to
enough
take me
show.
out of here. Yeah, probably. Wouldn't you just love when things don't work? Okay, so each of the pens, oh, there we go. Can you see them? Is it just me who is
I
can't
can
see these
actually
things?
show the pens too. I
Okay.
can,
There
if you're
there are
talking, I'll show one.
okay, there are two different sections. This is supposed to move me in, right? And
Right.
I put it on focus and it's not
Yeah,
doing
here.
it.
Oh,
Focus
let's
is
go.
Zoom.
Let's go over here.
There we go.
So,
Okay.
there's
And why
Lauren.
isn't it focusing? Does it have to be down here?
Here's the
So
pen.
it's gonna have to
Be down
for a
there.
moment, and
Okay.
it looks
You
like
gotta-
you messed
I
up the
unfocused.
Got a
focus.
big tip.
Okay,
You got
sorry
a little
guys.
tip.
There we go.
Yeah, are you all focused up now?
Yeah,
I am, I think. Am I all focused up now?
yeah,
Okay.
you're focused up.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, there you
That's
go.
how
Yeah.
to use it. Get this other stuff after they see what to use.
Okay. So there is a little picture on here of what the tips look like. If you're not sure and you don't want to open the wrong one, there are two tips. One of them is on this one, it's a pen point, and on the other side is the chisel part, which is what you want. So what you do is you just take the chisel, and it has to go in this way because it just pushes in. Let's see if I can do it that way. The air blows across the tip there, and then you can just, okay, it would help if I turn it on. Okay. You just kind of spray around, and you can make it darker just by spraying into it again. And when you want to change color, you pull it out, close it up so it doesn't dry out, and you can add a different color, which will be this one maybe.
It's worth noting that if you put the pen in upside down, it won't work.
Well, it works, but it shoots up or down.
Oh,
It's not, it's, yeah. And as you can notice, it actually sprays on top. The spray is out that way. So if you need to get another closer, and here it's mixing up a little bit.
yeah, it doesn't
What
spray the pattern where you think it's going to. The
Okay,
aim is
that's
not
why.
what you think.
Right. So you're going to want to cover up the parts that you don't want sprayed. And you can use tape, or you can use Frisket, or all sorts of things. I tend to use a lot of these stencils. So this was this stencil here, and you can just what I suggest is you tape it down, because if you don't, you hold it, and that's where you get all inked up. So it's just a matter of spraying. Now I want to point out that there are two sizes of these pens. There's the regular marker, whoops, and then there's the sketch marker, which is about half the size, and it was developed for artists who really like to use a lighter brush when they paint. And both of them will work in here, but this will last, it'll have about half the amount of ink. So Cindy, are there any other questions about that?
Doesn't look like there are questions. Anybody who has a question for Lauren about this, using this airbrush with the Copic markers, please type them in. That's what she's here for. And we're going to get Lauren to show us some few things, and then I'm going to try it.
Okay, good. Let me just show you some of the stuff that I've done on
Wow.
wood.
Yep. This is a wow. All right.
Okay, so let me see if I can come back in a little bit.
You know, you were going to show us some pictures of your work. Is that where you are right now?
No, I'm actually showing you the real thing.
The real
So,
thing. Oh, cool.
yeah. Okay. This one, I used a stencil of a feather, and then I used my ink pens. So let's see if I can get even closer.
Same pen, just not in the airbrush, correct?
Right. Exactly. Yep. This is about as far as it goes. Okay. And this one, I used some paper. Let's see if I can find where I put them. Okay. All you do is you cut up some paper, and then you put it down, and then you spray. And you can do mountains and all sorts of things. See, that's what I did for this in different colors. And then this one, I used the frisket, which you cover.
Frisket is masking.
Yeah, it's a
masking
masking
stuff.
medium.
Yeah.
Yep,
You
it's
have a
like a
close-up
tape.
of the feather pen, of the feather.
Oh, I
Ooh,
do have a
close-up
close-up?
picture, yeah.
Okay.
We've got a question here for you, which we've answered already, but people come in and out of these things. So
There's
we
your
want to
basic-
get the questions again.
Yeah, voice.
Yes, you can refill the ink in the markers. I learned about it online. And you can also get one. And let me go over here to me for a second. I have a marker that is empty. It's just a little closer here. This is just a plain one, empty, nothing in it. And I can put whatever I want in within reason, of course. Like I could put my own dye color in there. And the question now is how much these cost versus just plain aniline dye. And I don't know, Lauren, do you have a feel for that? How much it costs to get a Copic refill versus just put your own dye in there?
I don't at the moment. It was a Copic. I don't know. You could probably get your own dye and make your own dye. I haven't done it. They cost about the same as it costs less than having a pen. I know that. But the pens are all refillable, which is what I like best. So
we don't know, but you can do some math, Google it up, find out the volume, that's in the pens and figure it out if you want to know about cost.
Yeah, everything's on Amazon or Blix or any of these art supply stores or hobby stores. What is the process for filling? It's dipping. It's actually
dripping.
It's dripping more than anything else. You just drip onto the tip. And
or
that's
with the new style, they make a thing where you pull out the felt tip. Like let's go over here and I'll show you this one here. You can pull out, and I don't know if my fingers will do it, but you just pull out the felt and using a dropper bottle, drip the ink into here and then put the tip back in.
That's a good idea. They also have little tools that'll pull it out for you.
They do. It looks like the fingers work fine. So there we are.
Well, it depends on how inky it is.
Yeah, that one is not inky at all because it's the one that doesn't have any ink in it. So, right, if it's covered with ink, you better wear gloves when you do that.
Yep. Also, David says the Copic sketch pens are £7 in the UK. The thing I like best is that with a lot of I wait for sales. There are a lot of sales usually, and I will buy sets of them. So yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is, but
But
72
you
is a
don't.
lot of different colors.
Yep, but you got to remember that it's also blendable, so you can blend your colors. So you don't need all the colors.
So do you need to start with a primer on wood?
Not necessarily, but you have to make sure that it's sanded really well and that there's not a lot of loose grain. The ones that I did straight onto the wood, but yes, you could if you wanted to.
Yeah. But if you want the wood grain to show through, then you wouldn't,
then you don't.
would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Right.
Okay, then another thing that you should know, let's see if I can get me back to, I'm going between VMix and your thing. Let's go to number 4. All right. So what happens is every time I do a section or a layer, I need to fix it. I need to make sure that they're not going to blend into each other. So what I use, you know what? I can show you on here. Where is my fixative? There we go. Okay, that is 5. Okay, I use a matte fixative, which is what a lot of people use for charcoal drawings and pastels. It's a workable fixative, so that means it just gives it a tooth, and whatever you keep putting on, you can do layer upon layer upon layer. It's very fast drying because I'll take my piece downstairs outside, spray it, and give it, well, let me do a demo of spraying. Get me back onto 4. Okay, so I would take a piece, if I can find what I did with them. Outside.
And the wood is not sealed at all. We just kind of went over that. My preference is to let the dye soak into the wood. So
right.
What you're saying now, Lauren, is that after you've sprayed a color, you are sealing it, right?
I am workably sealing it. It will need a final seal afterwards. But if you're not doing anything more than one spray, which I don't do, I do layer upon layer upon layer, I need it to have this tooth with whatever I put on top of it, you know.
Also, you're trying to do this piece that's got the definite lines between the colors? Is that part of why you fixative between colors?
I did, yeah. Or even when I did the feather one, let me put that back on. Let's see, feather. Here we go. That is.
So Alan says you're building up layers of color.
I'm building up layers of color.
Another option would be, like you first showed us, how you were blending the two colors.
Yes. And then you don't want to fix that. You want it to blend
That's what
together.
I was wondering. If you wanted them to blend, you do not use fixative, correct?
Not until after you finish blending.
Right.
And then I would fix it.
Okay. And so if you want to go on to another layer, perhaps, and don't want them to blend,
then you fix it.
Yeah.
Yep. It's not a lot. It's not a heavy spray. So what you would do is you would take the piece, or, you know, a big bowl or whatever, and you don't want to saturate it. You just want to give it a little spritz. So you just go and turn it and go and turn it and turn it and until it's covered lightly, and then you're done. And by the time you come upstairs, it's ready to go again. So
I guess that depends on how many flights of stairs you have in your house.
Exactly. I've got 13 steps. I tore the meniscus in my knee, and I know exactly how many steps I have.
Count them every time.
Yep. So yeah, definitely use matte fixative, and I use usually polyacrylic to final finish on that.
Alan has a comment here that
yeah, what do you
with the
say?
airbrush, there's less inadvertent blending than if you were applying the ink directly from the pen tip. Do you know what he's talking about there?
Yes and no. It depends on whether it basically depends. I mean, it will do an overspray, and it may inadvertently get two colors together if the first one's not dry. But normally you would cover whatever you don't want to be sprayed.
Right. I want to try something with that blending thing. I wonder, are these alcohol based? They are, right?
They are. They're alcohol-based pens, absolutely.
So maybe I could spray some alcohol over after putting a couple of colors down and make them blend even more.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It would be fun.
And you might get a neat texture going.
Oh, and Alan's point is that when you're using the pen without the airbrush, just a pen by itself to draw, you got a lot of ink there. Whereas with the airbrush, you can control a light coat of ink rather than just light, right? I think that's what he meant by the inadvertent blending thing.
Okay.
And it's drizzling in Montana. Always nice to hear. What was that you say, Lauren? Sorry.
Well, it depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're using a pen point versus using the pen brush tip, you may not have as much ink, So it just depends on what you're using.
And here's a good question too. If the fixative will keep the first coat from penetrating into the wood and bleeding along the grain lines or whatever.
Do you play? Yeah, that would probably work.
And that's if you don't really want it to soak into the wood as much.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking there's a lot of experimentation to be done here. A lot of different things that work. And you do some very specific things, Lauren, like you were going to show us about the masking. What did you call that stuff?
Oh, the frisket. Frisket. Friskit. Except I can't find mine at the moment. It's around somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, so the frisket is like masking tape, but you cut it to whatever shape you want.
And you can cut shapes within shapes. So you can put this sheet of frisket over and then cut out with an X-Acto knife or whatever the areas that you want to airbrush into. So, and then you can cover that and do it on top
of it. Clear? So you can see through the frisket?
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's like a clear coating. And there are two types. One is a liquid, which I don't like as much because it's harder to get off. And then there's a sheet. Or it comes as like a tape. It depends on how you want to use it and how big a piece you're making.
And it sticks to your
little things.
Yeah, like what you're wearing, right?
Yeah.
It sticks to the wood, and you can cut out the perimeter or the inside or lots of little shapes or whatever you want. Can you spray, peel it off, and stick it back down?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't even have to. Yeah, I'm not even sure if you let it dry. You may not even need to spray unless you're doing something on top of it.
Yeah. And
I already said
liquid frisket. That reminds me. Years ago, when I used to work on home built airplanes, we would use this liquid frisket on the clear plastic, which means non-porous, very smooth surface. My guess is that liquid frisket on wood, Lauren said it was hard to remove.
It's harder to remove. Yeah,
it would be.
It's just The other one just pulls off. This is yes.
It's a film rather than a painted on thing. Anyway, so okay, how about if I try something?
Yes, please.
I want to try spraying something here, and you can guide me here, Lauren. Let's
well, you need to show you
this here.
There
I will, of course, I will. And here's me, and then here is what I've got, and I think I should practice a little first. I'm going to try one of my favorite combinations here. Oh, look, I've got a sketch. I didn't realize that. some of these are sketch and some of them are, I didn't know what I was ordering. Now I know I have more of an idea of it from what you've said, Lauren. So what I have to do to put one of these in, I usually start with green. I got to find the chisel tip and put it in the brush and all the way in until it clicks. And if you'll notice, the pens are square and the receptacle in the gun is square. And I was reading the directions and it said that sometimes that tip kind of gets misaligned, but it's supposed to be straight up and down. And if it misaligns, the same way I was able to pull that other one out of there, I'm not going to do this without gloves on. You can adjust it, turn it if it's not straight up and down, I guess. So here we are. Oh, and the end does stay on the end of the pen for all right, I got a piece of wood, and what I'm dying to know here is, how does it look on wood? I guess we could go out here a little more. And it's also, how am I going to hold this thing? I hold it like this, to hold it like, oh, no, that's awkward. I don't use my thumb. I can't reach it. So I'm going to hold it like this. And I've got my little regulator thing set for, I thought it was 35. We'll give it another little turn there. So I've got it set for 35 PSI. If you use bar or kilograms per square centimeter, you're going to have to convert it yourself. So now, if I just push the button, I'm aiming for right here. As far as I can see, right down the line of the brush, the spray is way up here. So I'm going to need to tilt it down a lot if I want to spray where I think I want to spray.
Yep.
And do we see the wood grain? This is just a bandsaw cut, so it's not I'm using it for practice. Now I've got denatured alcohol. And that, I'm hoping, will sort of let us see the grain of the wood, but it's also sort of making it soak in more.
You should be diffusing it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, diffusing it and diluting it as well. Yep. So this is cool. Now if I want another color, I'll just take that out of there. And we'll put in some purple. If I get it upside down, it's not going to work as well. I tried that the first time. Also, if you think you've got it in place because it kind of stopped, no. You got to go until you get the click. It needs to look like this.
So the air can go across it.
Yeah, so the air is blowing across that angle on the tip. And we're going to get some purple here in some places. Purple and green. Oh, I could go along the wood grain here and put the vein as purple. Aiming is a little bit challenging. And now we'll get some blue out here. I have, by the way, got myself a piece of wood. I mean, a finished piece that I want to try this on. But right now what I'm doing is practicing so that, okay, so sketch. And here's a difference I think I noticed about sketch versus whatever they call the other one. The sketch has a brushy kind of a tip. And look at how much ink there is in the brush tip versus what happens when I use it like a spray gun. Oh, that one doesn't fit on the end. So we're putting it in like this until it clicks. Sketch, notice this. Sketch doesn't really line up with the square so you can actually adjust the angle of the tip. Can you see what I've got here? I'm twisting it over one way or the other, but I want it aligned straight up and down. So it's kind of adjustable with that sketch. Now we'll go put some blue in here. Blue goes well over either green or purple or over the bare wood. But you can see how much more blending I'm getting. This is really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Where I had the marker, it just makes a big dark blob. Oh, and so David's got a question about the air can. You're using the one made by Copic.
Yes, it actually came with my
set.
set.
Up there.
Yeah.
And it's big. Oh, it's big.
There's a smaller one somewhere.
I thought it was just
here.
this tiny little can. I was thinking that's so inefficient. I'm going to set up to use my compressor.
Oops. No, this one is bigger.
One.
There's a 30 can also that comes with it.
Oh, a tiny little one like they showed in the thing there. Yeah.
It comes in the in the box. Like
yeah. That. Yeah. That's about the size of the can that I have here.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. It is 3 inches long, 75 millimeters.
Yeah,
and
but
so
that's not air. That's actually the adjuster.
Right. This is the attachment for my air compressor. I've got the air compressor on the end of this hose here, but I think this is a convenient, comfortable size. If I had a giant can on here all the way down to here, I mean, I think I'd like the littler one.
It's not that heavy though. It's just air.
Yeah, it's just air. It doesn't weigh anything. Right. And the can is to use instead of a compressor. And my guess, having rigged up this compressor thing, is that it's going to be much more convenient to have a can of air than to have to get your regulator and water filter. And this is what I've got here. I've got a water oil filter, and I've got a regulator so I can set the PSI to be much less than the PSI of my shop compressor, which is 90. And Lauren said she wanted to use 35 on these pens. So, I have to have something to reduce it down, or I need to have a little airbrush compressor. We've got air coming in out of the big machine, and then we got air coming out to the gun. That's the hose there. So just in case somebody wasn't here earlier. Okay, so now we've got some alcohol, and I'm going to just spray it and see if they blend nicely. Oh, I love this. This is going to be a cool way to do some color. Notice what's happening as I spray the alcohol on this dark area. Did I just lose my speaker? I did lose my speaker. Hold on here just a second, Lauren, so I can perhaps hear you. This is Tech Day. Okay, so this guy is off. We're going to go over here. All right, so Lauren, I should be able to hear you now. Go ahead and say something. Are you talking? What's the deal? What's the deal? Lauren is talking. Oh, Lauren is not in the stream. That's why I couldn't hear you.
Ah, okay.
There we are. Oh, boy. Tech learning
I got thrown
never
out.
ends.
It just threw me out. I had to come back.
I booted you out of the meeting completely?
Yep. I just had to come back.
Oh, well, thank you, StreamYard.
Yeah.
That was the noise I heard, and I thought it was my speaker dying because suddenly I couldn't hear you.
Oh, now what?
Don't you love it?
Okay, let me
No,
see.
everything's fine now. Everything's fine now. I hear you. We're both doing great.
There we go.
Can you hear okay?
I can. Now I can. And I
And
couldn't get
a
into
little bit of pricing here about the airbrush compressors. I personally am not going to buy an airbrush compressor when I have a compressor. But if I didn't have one,
makes sense.
Or if I wanted to travel. And the airbrush compressor, Lauren held up the one she has, and it's like the size of a power drill, or it's a little tiny thing.
It's tiny. And it's got all the gauges and stuff on it.
Let's put you up here, big on the screen. Hold that up again, please. Sorry, I was falling down on the job. And we'll
little Iwata. Oh,
so yeah, Iwata is a real top brand of airbrush stuff. I'm sure you can buy less expensive ones, but from what I hear about airbrush stuff, you can find better values, but you can't do any better than Iwata. They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and while your compressor is out of action, you can use the pens just as pens. And I could actually, with what I'm trying to do here, let's get back over here. Oh, we don't have me in. Is that why I'm not finding myself?
Are you gone now?
Need to put me here.
Yay.
There we are. So what I was about to say before I kind of lost the audio is right here. I put in I drew with the chisel tip, and it made kind of a blob. But then when I sprayed alcohol in it, it diffused it a little. So I could get quite a variety of color blending with some work from the pens and some work from the airbrush. And if I want to, blending them with just a little spray thing of denatured alcohol. Aren't we working today? There we are. Okay, so I'm tired of practicing. I want to actually do some work. So I'm going to get my piece of wood turning here front and center. And one of the things I'm wondering about, and Lauren, have you ever done this where you had the lathe running?
I have not.
Okay. Because that
should be interesting.
Yeah, let's try it. It will be interesting, so to speak. Actually, maybe I will try that on a different piece, just because this one's kind of nicely finished, and we're going to need to go back over here.
It's always good to practice.
Yeah,
that you're not in love
definitely
with.
Hear that.
Mm-hmm.
That one's all sanded and everything. This one here it's just a bowl, and it's not all sanded already, so it's number one, not going to look as good, but number two, I haven't spent a lot of time already on it. So I'm willing to say, well, okay, I'll sand this one again if I don't like my result. Whereas the other one, I was kind of keen to keep it as it is. Can't we go down a little? That's all we got. Okay, so I'm going to turn the lathe on. Oh, we have to unlock the spindle before we can turn the lathe on. And I don't know how fast I want it. I don't want slinging from centrifugal force. So I'm going to start. I really should have something behind my lathe. Okay, there's green going on. I wonder what would happen if I put more PSI in here. I'm going to up it to 45. And I'm going to get a different color out here. I can see where doing the color change and all that, it does take a little time. Now you can see this better. You've got some purple going on.
You should do it in spurts, though. Don't keep holding it like that.
Oh, do it in spurts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get
See
some.
how you got really dark in the middle just from holding? You mean?
Well, I wanted it to be darker, and it's funny how it didn't get dark all the way around. I wonder, it's probably because of where I was aiming. See, this is taking a wee bit of practice.
Yes.
To get it to be right. I'm going to line this one up. This is the sketch. And
Duncan wants to know what chuck you're using.
I'm using a Vicmark chuck. The chuck in this case is, everyone always wants to know, but it's really not the focus of our discussion. Oh, I can get closer. Oh, yes. Oh, I can get closer. You know, I don't like this that much. It's okay, but, well, it needs more green for one thing. And I'm being lazy, and I'm not putting the caps back on while I'm in the middle of this sequence of things I'm doing. Okay, we'll get a little. Oh, here's how I can aim. Oh, yes, check this out. It aims above where you think it's aiming. So when I was over here and I was looking at it and I'm going, okay, I want to aim for right here. And I'm thinking, well, how do I aim it? But here's what I can do is I know it's going to aim in line, but above. So if I aim it in line this direction, then it'll go as far from center on the piece as I think it's supposed to. Let's try it. Yeah. What if I turn up the speed? What did we get? Well, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking I need some blue. But this is pretty fun. Yep. I'm really enjoying what I can do with this. Once I figure out how to aim it. Oh yeah, the lathe being on is overrated.
You get a lot more control when it isn't.
Yes, definitely. I feel that. So, Lauren, you said bursts.
Yeah. Well, it also helps with the ink going into the tip when you burst it, as opposed to using up everything that's in the tip.
Oh, because between bursts, the ink is flowing from the reservoir into the felt.
Right.
Yeah, right. Do we need more purple?
That's actually looking really good. Why don't you throw
I love this.
Red?
I love red?
Yeah.
Do I need red? You think red?
Huh. Well, you got blue and purple.
You got blue. You're right. Okay, yeah, I could. This is green, and oh, there we go. I'm trying to get a little more because green over blue is nice. Green over purple, because all three primaries are in those two colors, red, yellow, and blue, if I'm putting green over purple, I'm going to get mud. So, not what I want. Red, huh? Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Good point. So, here's my chisel end.
Just don't overdo it.
Chisel tip. Yeah, don't overdo it. The book Art and Fear that I like so much, that had a I want a little spot. They had a comment in there. To make a piece of artwork, it takes two artists. One to do the work and the other one to tell them when it's done. So, yeah, don't overdo it, but
that is nice.
Do enough. You really don't know when you've overdone it until you don't like it. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Where's the undo button?
Jim, Jim says, pardon my ignorance, but is this pretty much an easier way to color like this instead of airbrushing? So it's just another tool in the arsenal.
Well, in some ways it's easier, but in some ways it's not going to give you nearly the control or versatility, because if you have a real airbrush, you can adjust everything, and you know all the fine points of dual action and everything. But this thing, you don't have to clean it.
And it's not that expensive. There are a couple of ways it comes. There's an ABS2 that's the gun and a can of air.
Anybody you're showing some stuff. Wait.
Sorry.
There you are.
Yeah, they come in. Oops. They come in different kits. So this one is actually ABS3, which is the gun and the compressor adapter. The gun and the can of air, it's $26 to $30. And the gun with the compressor adapter is $43 on Amazon. So, you know, it's not a big commitment.
So here we are, as opposed to buying an airbrush for a couple of $100. But you know, the airbrush is, we should have had Joe Fleming on here to argue the other side. The airbrush is really going to give you more control and more options with the artwork side of things. What I want to do is something like this. I want to spray some color on burl, and
that looks wonderful.
I love it. It's great. You can sort of see what it's going to look like when it's finished. I'll put either an oil finish or a poly, water-based poly over it. But this isn't really what I was going to do. I was going to take this one here, which, let's go over here and look at it. This one, my typical coloring technique, what I do is first I put on a coat of black, and then I scrape and or sand most of the black off. And what it does then is it leaves black in the areas of deepest penetration, which with burl, you get this kind of mixed up grain pattern, and this is what you get. And now if I take some color and spray over this, you get a little more definition to the burl figure than you do with just putting the color right on the first coat on the wood. So, yeah. All right. So we're kind of at our designated time today, and thank you so much, Lauren. This was really fun. Do you have some things you'd like to say? We'll put you in big here. We have some questions too. And by the way, folks, bring your questions in. We're going to take a few more, and then we're going to call it a day and let Lauren go back to her day.
Okay. It says, is this alcohol based? What kind of finish do you use? So we generally use polyacrylic, which is a water-based acrylic spray. and it comes in several different ways. I usually use semi-gloss for most of my stuff, especially jewelry. So hope that answers that. The step further than I take than the airbrush, I started using the pure alcohol inks and doing ink pours. I don't know if anybody knows about these acrylic pours that everybody's been doing, where they take a canvas and they throw on the acrylic paints, and you get all these interesting bubbles and pockets and stuff like that. You can do this with ink, provided that you seal your wood first, and because you definitely
okay.
need
Otherwise,
a
it'll
sealed
all
space.
soak in.
It'll all soak into all the grain and stuff like that. But you get some really, really interesting stuff. So that's what I'm playing with now.
And if you want to see Lauren, she'll be at the AAW Symposium.
I will. Yeah, with
and
Alan.
So will I, with Alan. And here
our
is
new,
how you can get a hold of her.
And our new passion is laser engravers and cutters, and that's where we're headed.
Yeah, and so maybe we'll have to have you on as a guest another time, and you and Alan can talk about. I want to know how a laser is going to feature in your artwork, because I can see some possibilities.
Because you can use this airbrush technique with that too. So the laser engravers have kind of replaced pyrography for me, because you can do some really, really interesting, detailed graphics that you've created in something like Procreate, which I'm also learning, and have the laser cut all the engrave all the image for you, and then you can go at it with the inks or the acrylics or whatever else you want. I'm looking to do multiple layers of things and sort of building sculpture kind of things. So that's where I'm going. Cool. That's where my head is at right now.
Yeah, and I hear that, and for those of us who thought using a laser is cheating because all you're doing is getting canned artwork and you just, doing somebody else's, but no, you're creating your artwork, and then you're using the laser instead of a burning pen, using the laser instead of an ink pen or a pencil. Right. So you're doing your artwork. This is just the way that you carve with it, the way you carve it, if you will.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and it can get much finer than anything I could do.
Really neat stuff. So, yeah, this is cool. Well, and Glenn is here. Good to see you. Better late than never. Okay. I'm going to get your thing off here. And I want to talk a little about how I do finishing. So
you should put you on the screen
here.
Yeah.
And I've got a few things I like to use for finishes. Lauren's using a film finish because she's making jewelry. It's going to be kind of durable. As film finishes go, here's another option: CA glue. I'm kind of experimenting with this. I'm not sure I like it yet, but I'm working on it. The thing that CA doesn't really do is pop the grain. So I like to use oil finish, and this is one that I like, water locks. And here's another one I like. This is Sutherland Wells polymerized tung oil. Oil finishes pop the grain. They soak in and they create that, they accentuate the 3D figure in something like a burl or curly wood. So the next question is, can I put a finish like this down and put CA over it? Oh, well, maybe that'll give me the best of both worlds. 4 to 6 coats of this kind of tung oil finish will give me a really good, not a film look, but a finished look on my well-sanded wood. Wipe on poly, I use like an oil. It penetrates into the wood. I wipe off the excess. I don't just let it dry like a film. Unless I'm doing some of the bigger pieces, I sometimes let it dry like a film. Here's another option, and this is my choice of spray can. Polycrylic is the one that Lauren uses, is water-based. This is solvent-based. I definitely don't want to spray this indoors or without a respirator on. Yeah, I spray it indoors sometimes at the lathe, wearing my respirator mask, and then I leave the room for a while because it's fumy. I don't like to use spray, but sometimes, like for a finial, it's the best fixative for what you're doing. And
well, the reason that we use the polyacrylic is because CA glue will actually wipe off your ink.
Oh, it will.
It will. Ask me about that one after spending 4 hours on a shaving brush. Wiped it right off.
This is the dye I like to usually use, and it looks a lot like what I got out of those Copic markers. Oh, somebody asked a question a while ago about how color fast the Copic markers are, and it's hard to say if it what it does.
I just did.
You guys might want to mute yourselves if you're going to have a conversation. You might want to mute if you're going to have a conversation.
Sorry about that. Oops.
Okay, so where was I? I was saying that you might want to ask the Copic people or Dick Blick whether they are color fast, light fast, and color fast. If they are aniline dye, they're not as color fast as this stuff here, trans tint, which is supposed to be a little more color fast. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so CA glue dissolves the ink. All right, so I'm not putting it over ink. I might put it on over, well, okay, so I'll just use CA on bare wood. And here's Kirk telling me that what I was hoping for out of CA is not going to work. I can't put it on over an oil finish. So what I wanted to do was take just one coat of oil just to pop the grain and not to build. But I think what Kirk is talking about here is that Parfix, and I have that right here. This is the Parfix 3408. It's a premium brand of CA glue that has a longer open time. It doesn't kick as fast, so you can use it on larger surfaces. And this is supposed to penetrate into the wood. Well, I guess the point being, if you put on an oil finish, the CA can't penetrate into the wood because you've got your oil already sealed up the pores. So, yeah, I don't know what to do for that, but lots of finish choices, basically. And my idea about finish choices is that you're going to have different situations that call for a different kind of finish, and people will prefer one over another. So, Lauren, thank you so much for being here. Do you have a closing remark? Oh, you're muted now. Sorry, I told you to mute and you did. And there we are.
Back. Okay. Jess, it was so much fun to play with you today. And I hope everybody had a good time. And I guess that's it. Go play.
Yes. Go play. That's the words of the day. Thank you so much, Lauren, for being here. And thank you, all of you guys out there, for joining us for a little bit of live experimentation. This was fun. And I do different things every time. And this was a good one. So I will leave you with, if I can manage it, a reminder that I'm doing a online demo on May 6th, and you can find out details on my website. I will hopefully be doing some color, maybe, and other things. And I will hope to see you there. And Lauren, thank you very much. We will end the broadcast now. So Cindy and Lauren, over and out. See you next time.